back and welcome to Dimensional Dialogues. I am here today with my guest, Makeda Solomon. We did part one and we are about to continue part two. Now, Makeda Solomon, if you ever hear me when I'm talking about wellness, talk about someone who just through lifestyle changed her entire health and wellness status. This is how we've been friends for years. When I met Miss Makeda, she was a size 14 and she took a decision that she was going to shift everything. She changed her lifestyle. So it was just a pure adjustment in food and activity. And she did not live at the gym. She simply practiced meditation, practiced yoga, and practiced very disciplined eating. And this is it. This is her. She will be 60 next year. She look like my schoolmate, don't it? But this is it, ladies and gentlemen. We can reverse health challenges that we have just by lifestyle adjustments. And Makeda is living testimony to that. Now, Makeda, welcome. I just had to brag first.
Bragging rights. You have bragging rights.
And we were in our last conversation talking about your work with children, your passion for helping children to, move past their traumas and thrive in a world where labels and judgments are a hindrance to them.
Absolutely.
We were just talking about your stint with Neuronet and how that is helping you to, the understanding. Well, tell us about your understanding of the brain and how the brain works through Neuronet.
Well, I must be what they call a frustrated neuroscientist. And I've said to people, if I had all the time over again, even though it's never too late, that I would go and study neuroscience. But how Neuronet came about, or my involvement with it, it's a modality that's used for children that are having learning difficulties and focus challenges in the classroom and some behavioral issues as well. It started because of my own son. During his early school years, it was very clear to me that interested in our school. He was
He's academic.
No, in terms of he was energetic, to say the least. And I was working with another child at the time, one-on-one. Their parent, the child's parent, had asked me to help him. He had some physical disabilities, and to do drama sessions one-on-one with him. And that child was also going through Neuronet as a modality. Now it comes out of Florida. There's a woman called by the name of Nancy Rowe that started the whole thing, and I noticed the changes in him. So Nancy Rowe started the Neuronet modality, and the child that I was working with, I noticed the changes in his ability to focus, and even his physical movements were altered by going through the exercises, their physical movements with sound at the same time. So you're stimulating parts of the brain and allowing the more coherence between the hemispheres of the brain.
Right.
So I said, all right, let me try some of this with my little boy and see what goes on. So he was my first client. He went through the processes and it actually worked in allowing children that are sort of easily distracted to be able to maintain that focus for just that little bit longer. Because what I now understand about brain and brain coherency is the fact that if you get the left and the right hemispheres of the brain firing in harmony simultaneously, then there is that steadier and more even application in the classrooms, especially.
It's whole brain, so they're getting into a whole brain state.
Absolutely.
And they're able to be just more optimal. Yes. And I remember when you were doing it and you made reference to some of those left hand, right hand exercises. And while I was teaching swimming, and I was teaching the children to kick with their left and right foot, and I noticed their parents would come to me and say, hey, their reading has improved, their behavior has improved. So even simple things like exercise, like swimming, it improves right and left brain coherence,
Most definitely.
and therefore will
Yes.
result in improvements in behavior.
In academic grades, reading, mathematics, in all those areas, what the Neuronet program specifically, and any other program that combines movement, rhythm, and in time, because you know that, well, we'll know, going to school in Jamaica, that a lot of your learning was done to counts and rhythms. My dad used to tell me, growing up in the UK, he used to tell me about the times tables, you do it to a rhythm, because what the sound, the rhythms, the movement, all of those things that stimulate the right side of the brain, they help the left brain functionality to be more impactful.
Right.
So it's that balancing the two. So currently I also do learning workshops, learning strategy workshops with students, across the UK and Wales, and over the lockdown periods. A few
That's
years
what
back,
you were doing.
I was working online with children in Brussels.
Right.
And what we're able to do, in addition to sort of the motivational aspect of it, because this is the thing with me, it's like I brought all of the tools together.
This is what I'm realizing. You brought a little bit of drama, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Motivation,
Yes.
it's building self-esteem, and you add now the power of how the brain works. You explain to the children how the brain works and how you can learn, and you can learn anything. And they're looking at you at first like, really, miss? No, I've been told I'm a grade C student. And you say, no, I'm here to prove to you today that your brain is amazing, that you can learn anything. So from then you have them leaning forward. You have to get children interested. Well, once they're leaning in and you've got their attention, it takes me back quite a bit. Yes, ice cream. I want to stop and get the ice cream.
Really interesting, Makeda. I mean, I've always been fascinated with how you move so effortlessly between your ability to motivate. I know that you are a motivational speaker, and I literally just overheard you a while ago doing some hybrid motivational wellness coaching a while ago. Tell us a little bit more about the kinds of areas and that you've been coaching in over the last couple of years.
Well, I guess I'm probably one of those busybody people who, if I see persons in having a challenge, my instinct is to want to help them out of it, help them through it. And friends will tell you about supermarket incidences where there'll be a disagreement or a dispute. This one classic case in a Kingston supermarket, one of the cashiers had done something to upset one of the customers, and there was things were kicking off over at the till, and I'm at the other till trying to mind my own business. And I said, no, this is bringing disharmony. I don't like disharmony, whether it be in a public place or in people's internal, So, I sort of promptly made my way across and said, now look, where's the manager? We need to find the manager. The manager step in the back, not wanting to get involved at all. So I'm saying, you need to. I said, you need to go. You could tell from the body language.
Right.
This is I study body language as well.
Right.
You could tell from the body language and the facial expression of the young lady on the till that she troubled the client. You could tell that she'd done something to upset. And she's sitting there very, like, no, I didn't do anything. And the customer, the customer didn't speak very good English. It was a woman, appeared to be from China. And she was saying, no, you lie. And the girls, so long story short, I said, look, we need to take this somewhere. Manager, you need to take this into the office space. Young lady, if you've done something. And I just have this tendency to kind of take over and try to diffuse things and find a way of bringing people together.
Right.
So mediation is another thing that I like to do. So whether in the corporate workplace, in offices, I've been in my time sort of in directorships of companies, and many a time if there are staff issues, staff disgruntlements, I'm the one that's called in, Makeda, we need to bring these people together and sort out what is what, and helping people to be able to see the other person's perspective is something that 9 times out of 10 it's going to help. So that as I said, that ability to get persons to see the other person's perspective. Sometimes they realize that really actually they're saying the same thing but saying it in a different way. So I use personality profiling as well in lots of my workshops to get others to understand that, look, people are different. People aren't necessarily going out of their way to upset you or to offend you. It's just who they are, how they've been made up, how, you know, what the experiences they've had in life. So that type of coaching. Service excellence is another one of my passions. Going into places and spaces and persons that are so delivering service in a great way. I'm applauding them. You know, I'm an ambassador for the Jamaica Customer Service Association. It's like from I landed in Jamaica, I've taken it almost like as a personal mandate to say, all right, let's try and improve how we treat one another in the service industry. So I
So
do
you've
coaching
been,
with companies as well for that stuff.
so you've been doing a lot of corporate. So you do both group coaching
Group coaching
and individual
and
coaching.
individual, even from the recruitment level. If you have staff that are sort of coming in fresh and the company want them to sort of buy into the company's policies, philosophies, you know,
Culture.
the culture of the organization, it's getting that across to them in a way that's very real. Because I said to persons when I first came here, you know, I'm from the UK where a lot of service has been done through this kind of fake smile, you know, and they say, yes, pleased to help you. Whereas we are people that we can feel and we sense. So if somebody's coming with that fakeness, so your service has to come from your heart. It has to be real. People have to feel it. And they will come back to a place that might charge more or be more expensive because they're getting that feeling when they come into the space.
So Makeda, what I'm getting is that you are a multifaceted and multidimensional individual. How do you manage to be able to tap into so many aspects of yourself and be able to bring all of this forward to be able to help so many different kinds of situations and people? Would you say that perhaps your daily practice, your meditation, has contributed to this in any way? Tell us a little bit about what your routine has been like.
Being centered, what I call it, or what I call in divine flow, is something that I make it the central part of my daily existence. I know that if I am in that place, in that space, where rather than having my humanness dictate, so my human, whether weaknesses, insecurity, whatever might be playing out as Makeda Solomon as a human being, I know that when I say, all right, spirit, take the wheel, you guide my actions, my, you know, my words, my thoughts, that I'm coming from a centered place, and a centered place that is non-judgmental, that is non-antagonistic, you know, because I'm human, you know, if I get into situations and, you know, I can get emotionally triggered by them or upset by them, depending, but it's be able to sort of stop, take a deep breath, and that's where the practice comes in. I say to persons that if you're able to master your mind, master your thoughts, you will master your life. And I say that to the students in the classroom as well, and they go away with it as their mantra. Master your mind, you will master your life. Because yes, things will happen that will sort of raise things within you, but if you're able to stop and get before your thoughts. So I talk to them about the fact that it's like when you wake up in the morning, your mind is like a racehorse bolting out of a stable, you know, and then the horse is there galloping away. That's your mind, you know, and you're just sitting on the back of it, and wherever your mind goes, you are going with it, you're following it. But you have to be able to take the reins of your mind and go, whoa, and say stop. And it's like you're a little bit ahead of your thoughts, start thinking, why am I thinking what I'm thinking? What is it being caused by? If you do that long enough, you actually create a sort of a rewiring of your neural network. This is like neural plasticity, gone 100%. Our brains are amazing. And where we might think, boy, this is how I stayed, I've been like this all my life, and so I can't change now. Yes, you can. Because the brain, as the neuroscientists are learning more and more and more, is able to change and adapt. So those neural connections that are formed when we learn something new, that become habits, that become our persistent ways of being. If you introduce something new that overrides that, it's like a computer. You put in a new program, then the wiring is different. The outcome is going to be different.
Right.
So I say to, you know, not only the students, the teachers as well, because the teachers in the classrooms are having a hard time as well in these times, saying to them that if they change their perspective, change something about how they do what they do, and start by being still, going into that quiet place, and I have the children go through an exercise where, and the teachers do it too, where they think about something that they had achieved in their past that made them feel proud. And whilst they're going through it, I make them connect with the feeling, because that's the other thing. We're being disconnected from our feelings.
Absolutely.
So we're on autopilot, going through life. Yes, get up, go to school, do this, do that. And you've lost that essence of being a human being. So, once they're able to, for that moment, to think about that one thing, I say, now, how do you feel? And I go around the classroom and the children say, I feel brave, I feel accomplished, I feel proud, I feel all of these positive. I said, look, you've just conjured up in 5 minutes that whole feeling. So hormones, chemicals are being released into your system now that are making you feel those words, happy, joyful. Yes. I said, do that every single morning for 30 days. So I tell them, forget the ice bucket challenge and all those foolish challenges out there on social media. Take on this new challenge every morning and do it as a group, do it as a collective, everyone in the classroom, the teachers as well. Ask one another. Accountability partners. Accountability, exactly. So you have the children say, yes, Miss, yes, Miss Mac, Auntie Mac, they come. I said, we're going to do it. I said, if you do this for 30 days, you're going to reprogram yourselves. You're going to rewire your brains so that your neurons will go on autopilot for this new habit. And this new habit is going to be waking up in the morning and feeling more positive.
Nice. That sounds like it would have applications for people with mental health challenges that just need a little nudge.
The nudge is, if you think about a record, for those of us that remember vinyl records that needles used to be placed in, look it up for all the rest of you, is if you put if a record used to get scratched back in the day, what happened? It just keeps... It's not moving on. It's stuck in that groove caused by that scratch. And that scratch can be a trauma. It can be anything that's happened to us. So if you now are able to sort of say, all right, then lift that up, deal with the scratch that had happened in your life, whether acknowledgement, whether through role play, through therapy, whatever means you use, or you still your mind enough for a therapist or someone that is able to take you through a process that can get you over that scratch, then you can then play the sweet music of your life for the duration. So what you're doing is you're creating a new track. You're coming out of that groove, out of that rut, and you'll now have a different perspective. And you hear people say, my goodness, I had no idea that I was passionate about this, or I love that, because they're now able to look at their lives through a new lens. Yes. And that's all that I believe I'm here on this planet to do, to help people, facilitate persons getting over those little hitches, those little scratches in their life record, so that they can then plot their records going forward.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Makeda, I'd like to thank you so much for just bringing all of this knowledge that you've acquired, this passion that you have for interacting with children, and also for helping people to just become better versions of themselves. Absolutely. I've witnessed it myself. I've sat in sessions that you've done, and there is never a dull moment. I love how you integrated some aspects of your acting, your ability to change accents.
Don't know what you're talking about. I love it. I'm a big child at heart. Yes, even my son has to say to me, "Son, mommy, come on, grow up, mom, grow up." No, I'm a Peter Panette, I guess. Yeah, well, forever young.
Literally and figuratively, forever young. Makeda, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And I am just so happy to have you back here in Jamaica with me for a little while before you go back. But you are available online because most of your sessions you offer
Yes,
online.
Yes, because this is what the sort of probably upside of the lockdowns and COVID was, in as much as we realized that we still had to reach people, and reaching people through the platforms of Zoom or whatever else. It's not to me as impactful of being in the physical, energetic space of a person. But as we know, energy transcends space and technology. Exactly. So Zoom workshops are something, whether it's a psychodrama, one-on-one, so just coaching, consultation, or just having someone there that you can talk to that is not going to be judging you and saying, oh, but you should have done that, or why didn't you do that? And that's why I think a lot of people shy away from going for sort of help and support. They feel that, oh gosh, it's somebody else who's going to say, oh, you should have, why did you? So I think that's the distance that I can afford myself from persons that I'm interacting with. with the physical distance, or just the distance of not knowing them is an added value.
helpful,
It's
right.
very helpful, and I think we need that nowadays.
Right. So tell us how we can find you, how we can reach you for your services.
Oh my gosh, I've got to do what the trendy thing now is, and say you can IG me at what is it the young people say?
Yes.
Anyway, it's X Queen Makeda X on Instagram.
Right.
But I'm on LinkedIn, Makeda Solomon LinkedIn. That will give us probably the most relevant profile as to the things that I'm passionate about, the things that I'm available for. I Makeda1Solomon@gmail.com.
Right.
I
And we'll
suppose
put,
that is I do check my emails.
right.
So
And I will put all the details of how to reach Makeda in the description below.
yes.
So Makeda, again, thank you for being with us today. We've learned so much, just so much food for thought, and we know that once we get in touch with you, there's just so much, because I know you customize. So this brings us to the end. Thank you again.
Thank you, Paula, and keep up the great work. It's awesome. This is the time for it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Blessings.